Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. I hope everybody had a wonderful week, getting ready for a wonderful weekend. I'm going to crank up my volume a little bit. I just noticed it's a little low. All right, actually, there you go. I think that's better. Let me know how that is. We should be good. All right, so we are back. We are ready for another weekly news roundup, and we are also beginning our journey back east. It'll be an exciting ride. I have no idea how long it's going to take me to get there, but, you know, I haven't yet left Arizona. I mean, I hear it's cold outside this state. Is it cold out there still, or is that past? I think Texas warmed up a little bit. Is it good over there? I don't know. Well, if you want to help support the channel, have a look over at the website, switchedtolinux.com/support. We have a bunch of ways you can help support the channel listed over there. And for those who have asked for it, we have launched a podcast of many of our episodes. So I'm managing the Weekly News Roundup podcast. This particular one will have all of the Weekly News Roundup in their entire feed. So if you like listening to these, you want to listen to them. Right now, we only have the one RSS podcast feed. We're going to give this about a month or so, make sure things are working well before we try to syndicate that. Ivan is in control of this one over here. I have no idea what's going on over here. But basically, he is posting many of the topics he finds fascinating and interesting that we have done, and I've given him creative control to that, so you can have a look at that one as well. These ones generally going to be shorter episodes probably, and it looks like he did just recently today he did the 2030 is close. Do you own anything anymore? This is our live supporter hangout. Here's Microsoft's trust crisis. Okay, so he's going back into the old history. I'm not going to go and do any of the old podcasts. At least right now, I don't have any intention to do that. And so you can have a look over there. That's podcast.switchedtolinux.com to find those two feeds over there. And with that, we are going to jump on into our main topics. And we are back to having two topics, and we do have a little bit shorter of a QuickLines section. Our first topic tonight on the Weekly News Roundup is the AI tax, and we're going to use an article from Windows Central, and this is, I gotta say, the best article I've ever read from Windows Central. Of course, I look at that frequently to get Windows news for our Windows Wednesday, but the article author Sean Endicott suggests that we are all paying for all this AI, and in many instances the AI is not good enough to be used for a lot of the deeply professional things. Medical AI results in wrong decisions being made, and legal ones tends to make up case law where it didn't exist before, but scammers do a really good job. And I gotta say, I saw a kitten doing battle with some robot or something the other day that was just beautiful work of art. The question is, are we all happy with everything in our society skyrocketing in cost so we can watch a robot and a cat fighting on an AI video? And that really is the hinge of what the article author here is mentioning. So having a look at this particular article, he says, I'm sick of being told just not to use Microsoft's AI, of course, because Microsoft crams AI into every small corner of the world, even things that has no business having AI built into it at all anyway. Because he is already paying for it, and you are paying for it, and we are going to see here many instances of AI absolutely causing a mass skyrocket of prices pretty much across our entire world, our entire economy, not to mention the massive job losses, because, hey, even though AI can't do a really amazing job of replacing your job, it does a good enough job for the CEO to justify saving a little bit of money by firing you and handing that off to like ChatGPT or something. So, but looking at the article here, he says, I didn't sign up for the AI subscription, but my bills say otherwise. We're all living in an AI shakedown where even if you avoid AI entirely, you still pay the price. I'm sick of notifications and emails about price increases and I'm also sick of people shouting, if you don't like AI, just don't use it. You may not use AI, but you're still paying for it literally and figuratively. And he does mention in here, there you can use like we did the video on DuckDuckGo's new AI-free version, noai.duckduckgo.com if you missed that particular video. We talked about that, but he also mentions, Copilot is being added to like Paint and Notepad, which curiously is requiring now an internet connection, causing Notepad to not start on some Windows computers. That's interesting. And so he has this fundamental question: should all of society have to pay an AI tax? Especially what's interesting is AI is run by these companies they're literally sitting on billions and billions of dollars. Maybe they can take some of their billions and billions and billions of dollars, and I realize that's in investments, that's not sitting in a cash account somewhere. But if these companies really want to invest in this technology, maybe they should invest in the technology, which means selling some of those stocks, paying tax on some of those stocks, and then funding these things so that the regular people that didn't ask for the AI have to foot the bill for rising costs in everything else. And that's the thing. If Jeff Bezos can build a yacht so big that the boatyard has to tear down a historic bridge to get it out of there because, Lord forbid, they don't finish his boat in the right place, and then take another $1 billion and build a Millennium Clock in some cave while Zuckerberg is drilling down deep into Hawaii to build an underground bunker. And, if these guys can have so much money to do these absurd, obscene, unnecessary things, maybe they can use some of their assets to fund the AI that none of us asked for, because their AI is causing the prices of everything to absolutely skyrocket. And I have receipts. He mentions here, on top of paying the metaphorical price, people are also paying a literal price because of AI. GPUs, SSDs, software subscriptions, and cloud compute have all increased prices, at least in part due to AI. Electricity prices rose 6.9% year over year through December 2025, according to Goldman Sachs, which is way above the regular expenditures inflation rate of 2.9%. Why? Well, because when all these companies have to request all this more power, it's like, if you guys remember, I know probably everybody has seen the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and Clark Griswold goes in and plugs the light in, and then the house shines up, and then the whole town goes into a brownout mode, and it flashes over to the nuclear power plant, and they go turn on the auxiliary button, and then the town turns back on. That costs the power company extra money to do that, and when that has to happen, it costs everybody because they redistribute that price. And the problem is, as we'll see in an article here in a bit, the problem is that these big companies, because they're taking so much electricity out of here, they negotiate a lower rate, while you, with your little house that now everything has to be run on electric for some stupid reason, now has to foot the bill to pay the increased costs because some moron spun up an AI center. Now, Microsoft is claiming that every time they build an AI center, they want to have power come with it. And if they can accomplish that, that's a good thing. But not everybody wants to do that. And we may not have the infrastructure to do that either. But he mentions down here, the demand for the data centers to power AI will affect consumers and non-AI businesses. There's money to be made in AI, and where there's money, people are willing to sacrifice others to enrich themselves. Of course, here's the fun Star Wars meme, of course, uses AI, of course. So, to cure cancer. Yeah. To cure cancer, right? Yeah. Well, the problem is, guys, I've worked in a cancer lab. I have my PhD in a field related to cancer research, actually in cancer research. I was in a cancer research lab. Cancer is a deregulated cell. There's no cure. You can do a good job to prevent it. We can find maybe better treatments, find it faster, things like that. But, if we were using this to do medical breakthroughs like that, okay, but here's the funny thing, all right? It's like the whole Industrial Revolution. We have enough Twinkies to feed the entire world, but we end up throwing the Twinkies away because they really want somebody to pay for them, If the AI, so the companies have the AI, they work a deal to get lower prices, so you have to pay higher prices. Then they get their AI data center. The AI solves the problem, but now they say that the cost of doing the medical research was so high, so now your costs are inflated, and you end up paying more for anything. Just let me die of cancer. I'd rather do that than live in total bankruptcy and poverty for the rest of my life because I had to fund some data center and now have to do that. You know, I know where I'm going when I die. I'm not trying my hardest to stay out of heaven. I'm not trying to get there super fast either, okay? But I'm not, death is coming upon us all, okay? And the reality is we're not using AI to fund the better cancer research. We're using AI to make a video of a cat battling a robot, okay? And it's completely unnecessary. Funny though it may be. So he said, I feel a bit more comfortable with people effectively paying an AI tax if AI was used for genuine good, but AI is largely unregulated. It's frequently used by bad actors to take advantage of people or to manipulate the masses. So even in innocent hands, AI is often used to make slop. Is your rising energy bill justified by someone making a video of a pig being ridden on a highway or AI blurring the background of a Microsoft Teams meeting? And that is the fundamental question. While that would certainly better society as a whole, he's talking here about utilizing this for, what's the exact context here? Oh, this is Sam Altman, the guy that should be in a padded cell somewhere. We're on trajectory. We think we can, there'd be amazing thing be possible. Maybe 10 gigawatts of compute AI can figure out how to cure cancer. Okay, yeah. While that would better society as a whole, I don't think the primary use for AI is curing cancer. I also don't trust AI companies to ensure the technology is prioritizing better society over making money. Don't forget, the OpenAI is called OpenAI because it's like, we are all open and a non-profit and all this. Until they looked at it and said, you know how many dollar signs we can make off of this kind of stuff? Yeah, we're never going to use this for military purposes. It is we are too altruistic. I mean, and now, of course, they silently got rid of that and started doing military contracts because there's a lot of money to be made in blowing people up. Okay. Right. I'm asking why a student buying a laptop for school or a baker trying to keep their ovens on has to cover costs for the AI. If AI is going to save the world, how about the billion and trillion billion-dollar companies foot the bill rather than having everyday people pay an AI tax? That is the best article from Windows Central I have ever read. Thank you, Sean Endicott, for that article. That was incredible. But I did want to look around and find a few of the receipts. So here's from the Yale Climate Connections. Home electricity bills are skyrocketing. Data centers, not so much. The biggest bulk of this has to do with the fact that the data center can come in and say, hey, we're moving a data center. We're going to be using this much power. What kind of bulk deal can you give us? Oh, you want to do a bulk deal? Awesome. We'll do a bulk deal. They have to cramp up that auxiliary nuclear power because Griswold has turned on his house. And now every one of his neighbors now pays a higher rate, but he negotiated the lower rate because he knew he was going to turn his house into the center of the sun in the city, right? So the burden of rising bills isn't even distributed, okay? So basically, industrial users of electricity are paying lower prices on average than they were 2 years ago. Between 2020 and 2024, residential electricity prices increased by 25%. Actually, industrial went down in that period of time, and commercial only went up by I think it was 5 or 10%. The numbers are down here. So this is actually 97 to 2007. You see as energy prices rose, so the amount price change, of course, set at a average down to zero. Zero means no change from 1997, going up and raising about 2%. You'll see that the residential is slightly higher than the commercials in the orange and the industrials in the red. So you see residential did raise up more, but it was not a lot more. We're talking fractions of cents, okay? But from 2008 to 2020, you notice that the residential has risen 5 cents per kilowatt hour, whereas your commercial 3 cents and your industrial only 2 cents. All right, but that was 2020. Now, 2021 to last date of the study of 2024, you see that the residential prices have absolutely skyrocketed, up 7 to 8 cents per kilowatt hour. Commercial is at 5 cents per kilowatt hour, not a whole lot more than the 3 cents. And you'll notice that industrial did start here. They went up, but then they actually went down a little bit. They're holding at 3 cents per kilowatt hour. Why? Because the industrial and the commercial and the data centers can negotiate better prices. So electricity prices for all three sectors began to rise steeply but unequally. The gap between home energy use and business industrial energy use became even larger. In the last 2 years, these differences became especially stark, as shown in the charts below. You know, if I were to have a small home-based business, I'm like, go to Comcast, like, yeah, I have a small home-based business. You know, they want to charge me like 10 times more for the internet. Maybe the company that's taking that much power out of it, maybe they should pay the higher prices. You know, very interesting. They also mentioned down here, if any one sector is driving growth in electricity use, it makes sense for that sector to foot the bill for power plants and power supplies needed, but that's actually not happening. So here is electricity demands. So the demands electricity starting in 97. You notice that and I'm not totally sure I agree with this. Oh, I'm sorry. That's industrial. Okay. Yeah. Industrial hasn't changed. That's because industry has died in the country. All right. Residential. There you go. I was thinking if that's residential, I disagree. No. Residential up here. I agree with this because, you know, everything's being forced. New houses have to have electric heating instead of, you know, like sane heating, like gas or something else that is actually efficient. You know, electric heating is terribly inefficient. And then they want everybody to have electric stoves versus your propane or other things that are otherwise deeply efficient. And they do, you know, they're doing this. Of course, now if they actually succeed in forcing everybody to have electric cars, that will actually double because to power an electric car for a month costs about the same amount it is to power a household for a month. Which means a residential could potentially almost double if everybody were to switch to electric. But you'll see that the commercial and the data centers increases with residential increases, mostly because we have moved to this digital economy. And I think the industrial has dropped steep and really hasn't changed significant because, you know, industry is pretty much dead in the States. So looking at this, the commercial has a 9% increase in demand. Industrial, they say 3%. Residential, 1% between 2021 and 2024. And this commercial is driven this massive amount by the data centers. But the problem here is that the companies that use large amounts of electricity can often negotiate lower pricing with energy suppliers. In some cases, these contracts are secret. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention here is in some states, people have no choice in their energy provider or their energy prices, and they can't look elsewhere. That is true. The state of Pennsylvania does have this competitive bidding for electricity, and I find it a worst case scenario because you end up getting advertisements from everybody. So the data brokers are involved, and they want to blanket your mailbox with all sorts of nonsense about we're better competitive prices. And just like everything else, it's an introductory price. So for 3 months, you're getting cheaper prices than if you just go with the main power supplier anyway. And then on top of that, if you want to look around and search for something, you have to put your name out to all these different places. So you're feeding all these data brokers. I don't want nothing to do with that. Well, every time I've paid the electric bill in Pennsylvania, I just go with whoever is the one actually supplying the power. I say, I'm going to use you. And sometimes I might be, hey, what deal can you get to use you? I have a few other coupons and I might get an introductory rate. But once that expires, I'm not shopping around because in my experience of shopping around for a couple of years, it was actually more time, more energy, put me on more lists, and didn't actually save me a significant amount of money down the road. Not to mention the other thing that did creep up in Pennsylvania because of this, there was actually a multi-level marketing group selling electricity in Pennsylvania. Go figure. Amway for your electricity. Go figure. How wonderful. All right. Maybe that vendor lock-in's a good thing. I don't know. You let me know what you think. All right. So we did cover this way back when this was released in December. Crucial is stopping selling RAM altogether to consumers. There were only 3 consumer-based RAM companies. We're down to 2 because they say, well, we can make so much more money selling to industry because guess what? They can negotiate these big things. It's more stable for their business. The investors like this. I don't know if they're going to stop doing SSDs as well. This article focused primarily on RAM, although they do mention the SSDs. But this week, guess what? Western Digital is out of hard drives for 2026. So, unless the store has a hard drive in stock, you ain't getting one from Western Digital. Now, I know some people are like, well, Western Digital sucks. You know what? Every hard drive has problems. In fact, I've had fewer problems with Western Digitals than I have most other ones. But Western Digital has run out of stock for 2028. And with one commercial data center, they've actually signed agreements through 2026. They've signed agreements through 2028 with one particular group. And to be honest, if a whole bunch more companies come out of the woodwork to sign these deals, it's possible we could see Western Digital greatly reduce their consumer shipping. Now, their Western Digital's, it was in the article or somewhere, but Western Digital's consumer market, I think 95% goes to digital and 5% is consumer. So it's likely, they say down here, 89% for cloud businesses, 5% is consumer. My guess is they probably see the negative pushback from Crucial, and they'll probably keep a small percentage of their inventory out. I mean, Walmart might get mad if they don't, and Walmart at least, like, praise Walmart for this one, guys. They can do the big bulk negotiations just like the data center. Yeah, Walmart, go. Did I say that? Oh, God. Take me home, Jesus. All right. And then, of course, the Steam Deck is now out of stock. Not only the new ones, which we did cover last week, where the new Steam Decks are going to be running out of stock, but even the older ones, they do not have any of their current Steam Deck models available in United States or Canada. There are still some in UK and Europe, but if you want to get one, you're not getting a new one. They are out of stock, all because of the RAM, the SSDs, all because, guess what, guys? The AI tax. So there you have it. The AI tax is a thing which impacts us all. I think we definitely need a lot of regulation. I support companies like states like New York, which are trying to put in a moratorium on data centers. Was that California? Maybe it was both of them. One or both of New York and California were looking at data center moratoriums, just so that we can have a public conversation about what this looks like going forward. I'm not saying we need to stop doing data centers altogether. I'm saying we have to have a means to have a sane and rational way. And frankly, if all these billionaires keep on wanting to do these great innovative technologies, they can sell some of their stock and fund it themselves. The people of us who are trying to buy food and buy gasoline and keep a household running and not lose everything we have, we can't foot the bill. But when you're sitting on enough money to build an underground bunker, a millennial cave, a millennial clock, and all the other nonsense stuff that these big guys are doing, surely you can sell some of your stock and fund this yourself. And don't be like, but that's not capitalism. Yes, it is. We can't afford it. And we didn't ask for it, and we don't want your crap. I don't want to pay your stupid AI tax. You can sell some of your stock. You can put some money to the federal government for the taxes. You can pay the extra prices for the data centers. Do not ask us to do the AI tax. I don't want it. I don't know anyone else that wants it. This is nonsense. We have to stop this. And frankly, we need regulation that says you companies want to do these things. You need to upfront the costs in cash by selling your stocks. Maybe we do a logical form of a wealth redistribution by, if you want to fund all this stuff, you can sell your stuff and make it happen. Stop relying on public funds, public grants, and public resources to do that. You fund it yourself. I'm sick of funding your crap. Let me know your thoughts about all that in the comments down below. And cue all the references that Switch to Linux is a socialist. I promise I'm not. Speaking of Walmart brand apple cinnamon tea is amazing. Good stuff. Our next topic. Let's see. Let me grab a sip of water too. All right. Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup, and our second topic for the day is digital necromancy. Yes, we are bringing people back from the grave using all of that AI and utilizing all of that sweet data and sweet electricity. And sometimes these are for questionable cases. Sometimes these are for outright horrifying cases. And some of these are things that yours truly predicted when I wrote my book, Code Red a couple years ago. So let's go ahead and start in with bringing people back from the grave. And of course, when you go out into a courtroom and you have some issue and the courts are like, yeah, you know, we didn't have a victim statement, you know, like somebody dies, you know, and then the family will come up and talk about what this death and what this impact happened. Well, what if you can just use AI to bring the dead guy back to present his own case in court? Yeah, if you guys didn't see this, this was from almost a year ago. This is May of 2025. A family shows an AI video of a slain victim in an impact statement, possibly a legal first. So for 2 years, Stacey Wells kept a running list of everything she would say at the sentencing hearing of the man who killed her brother in a road rage incident in Chandler, Arizona. That's when the idea came to her to use artificial intelligence to generate a video of how her late brother, Christopher Pelkey, would address the courtroom and specifically the man who fatally shot him. Since the sentencing hearing, Horakis's attorney, Jason Lamb, has filed a notice of appeal. He said he agreed that the victims have an unfettered right to share their views at sentencing. The issue, however, is to what extent did the trial judge rely on an AI video fashioned in a sentence? So the legal question here is obviously you can do reenactments. The question is, can you use AI to bring a person back from the dead and put words into his mouth that he didn't actually say? That is a good legal question because the laws in the courts, okay, they have to have a very, very stringent set of rules because if anything could potentially lead to any form of reasonable doubt, it means an immediate acquittal. And so because of this AI video, it's possible that this guy could actually get away with the crime. I'll just play just a brief minute here of, not even a minute, just a brief few seconds of the video. So this is uploaded by his family.
Hello.
If it plays, there you go.
Just to be clear for everyone seeing this, I am a version of Chris Pelkey recreated through AI that uses my picture and my voice profile. I was able to be digitally regenerated to share with you today.
Okay, so you can see it's not trying to dupe anybody. It starts out by saying, I am AI, I am created. And the question is, though, can they do this and put words into his mouth? Is this not leading a witness? Because this isn't words he said. This isn't words he wrote in a journal. This is words his family put together and put to this. And the judge is like, wow, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And the defense attorney says, that's interesting. That sounds like a grounds for an appeal. Okay. And so I don't know, and I don't really want to leave a comment one way or the other about it. I just wanted to point out that AI is being used to bring dead people back to life. And that is certainly a case where it has been used. Now, of course, we also mentioned this briefly in November of 2025, where what's this guy's name again? Worthy. Is it Chris Worthy? I don't know. Whoever, Charlie Worthy, somebody worthy, somebody who's not worthy of this nonsense, who is a Disney Channel star in Austin and Alley, posted an ad for two-way on X, which has gone viral, racking up 22 million views. And fortunately, most people are going, this is creepy. All right. So what the idea here is that this two-way app is you go in with your family and you just, or yourself, you do your family, and you do a 3-minute video, all those different things that you need to verify your face with all of the AI, whatever kind of stuff. And it creates an AI avatar. Then, of course, you can feed this in with all of your posts and all the things you say, talking, anything like this. And then the app then is used to create a digital avatar for that person that you can basically do a video chat with that person. And so in the actual video here, and I don't know if they're going to copyright claim this with the music and all this, but you can kind of see the text at the bottom of the screen. It's this lady kind of talking here. Let me just unmute it for just a second, just so you can hear a little bit of the. Oh, hold on.
It feels like he's dancing in there.
Okay, so here she's having this video conversation with an AI version of her mother. The baby's born, and apparently somewhere around here she dies. And then in the future, is that, oh no, I'm sorry. I pissed it. Okay. In the future now, she's talking to the kid. Now he's like 12 or 13, talking about basketball. Ooh, the crush. Oh no, stop talking. I don't want to do that. And now 30 years later, he's still talking to his dead grandmother about the baby. And now, of course, it ends with that, you got to have this perfect story where everything just kind of loops back and forth perfectly, right? And so it loops in with, oh, put your hand on her tummy and hum. You used to love that, Did it really used to love that? We don't really know. We didn't really get any insight, but you can see that this person's here talking to his dead family member years and years later. And this raises a lot of concerns. In fact, I didn't actually pull, or maybe it was in, no, it's okay. Maybe it was in this one. Yeah, it was in this article here. So, overall, the chief critics looking at these, objectively one of the most evil ideas imaginable, demonic, dishonest, and dehumanizing. My values die with me. I'm not a avatar. And others suggest that this profits off of grief and could only be an unhealthy way for people to deal with loss. As psychologists have actually said, there's a Black Mirror episode that apparently follows the same story. How does it work? It creates a digital avatar. Okay, so this is not actually the other article I read. No, it was a video I watched with a psychologist about this, and she's mentioning the entire situation here is you have this type of avatar, and the problem with this particular avatar is that you can continue talking to somebody after they die, and if you do that, you fail to walk through the grief process. You internalize it, and then you are now a future star of an episode of Hoarders. If you ever watch Hoarders, you know that Hoarders, the episode on Hoarders is almost everybody there got that way because they are not dealing with grief properly. And it is a fundamental thing. You have to learn to deal with grief appropriately. I mean, my cat just died not too long ago. I had the cat for 15 years. I love that cat. In fact, of the two cats, I like that cat more. Sorry, Kitty. The remaining one. She's crazy, but I like her. I like her in her own way. But the other one, snuggle with you. He's always there. He's always sleeping with you. He's always there, And if I just do whatever I can to just keep that cat alive. Maybe I have a fake stuffed animal of a cat, and it's robotized and it's over there purring, and I wake up every morning and it's sleeping by my head. I don't move beyond that grief process. Okay. Of course, when the cat first dies, it's kind of upsetting. And, I changed for the first time in 5 years, I changed my computer desktop to put the cat on the desktop. And now like, because I'm a healthy and emotionally healthy person, and I've moved beyond it, it's like, I'm not like saddened by it any longer. I'm thinking maybe I should change the picture back to what it was before. I don't know. But the thing is that you have to learn to appropriately move beyond grief. And that's a problem. Now, of course, this brings up what Facebook. It turns out that Facebook actually has a patent that allows the AI to take over your account when you die and keep posting forever. Now, is this posting beyond the grave to prevent the grief? Or is this Facebook just saying, hey, maybe we should employ this onto accounts that are successful because they keep on drawing people back here and we make money, and there's too many questions about what's going on. Now, they do actually say in here, at least they flip-flopped on this. At one point in time, Mark Zuckerberg was in interviews saying, this is an amazing thing and we all need this kind of stuff. And, there is one situation where he's saying that. And then the other hand, he's like, I don't know, we don't have any plans to do this. We just hold the patent for it, which is true. Are they going to implement it or not? Well, honestly, the one way they have suggested to implement this is they could offer this to people. You could pay for it. And if you want to take maybe a month-long vacation, you can train the AI for a couple months on what you're doing, and then you just set it to turn on. You go on your vacation. Your AI thing keeps on going, generating content, even though you're not actually doing it. You can come back and you've never skipped a post. That's one way of doing it. But then what happens if you turn this on, you die, and then the thing just keeps on going and going ad infinitum? It gets to that point where, the dead internet theory is a real thing. Not only is it just a bunch of random bots creating stuff, it's also a bunch of dead bots creating stuff. It's like bots and dead people is going to be populating the entire internet. What is going on in our world? So dormant accounts be left alone, or should loved ones be able to maintain them as digital memorials? This is a good question. I personally think the accounts should go into a memorial phase. Maybe give the family a week or two to post something on there, and then they go into a memorial phase, and the family can either choose to take them down or, just keep them up as a memorial. Okay. Digital memorials. I don't know how I think about that one either, but I am definitely better with digital memorials than AI bots taking over your account when you die. Okay. If we're going to hash these things out, digital memorials, okay. AI bots taking over, not okay. This is moving into creepy. Training an AI model on deceased users' posts, keeping post-mortem accounts active by uploading new content in their voice long after they passed away. That could be a morbid alternative. So Meta was granted a patent in 2023 for the idea outlining how a large language model can simulate users' social media activity, and simulating user when their user is absent from social media network is what they proposed. However, AI slop has infiltrated it and practically assumed control over platforms like Facebook and Instagram. Meta now says it's given up on the sepulchre concept. But the problem is that they've already come into countless examples of AI being used to emulate dead people, from the grandmother who is resurrected for her funeral to the grief tech startups. Of course, we mentioned the AI for the courtroom. I didn't actually see the AI resurrected for the funeral. I missed that one. Wonderful. So the digital clone of the deceased person would have been able to interact with people through likes and comments and even DMs, according to the patent. So yes, now the bot representing the dead guy is going to DM you. No, thank you. I will be okay with following the Bible stance of let's abolish necromancy. Okay. I don't know if necromancy was specifically in there, but certain forms of sorcery were. Mere existence of the patent highlights how companies were, in many ways still are, throwing everything to the wall to discover new cases for LLMs and how far they're willing to go. So Zuckerberg even suggested that lonely users could make friends with the company's bots instead of having friends with living humans. I mean, I got 30 friends. I mean, 15 of them are made up bots by Facebook, and the other 15 are just dead people. I've just never moved on. There's also probably the extent to which could become unhealthy, he admitted. But the problem is that as people die off and Facebook's not necessarily something of younger generation, engagement drops, the money loses core business, which is selling ads, and that could take a hit. But, if they can just keep on those few profitable accounts, keep on posting, they can keep on selling them sweet ads. I have a sneaky suspicion if it comes down to it, they're going to be doing this, especially since we're going to be looking at some of the current court cases Meta's involved in. And yeah, it's kind of the case there. One of the tasks of grief is to face actual loss, University of Virginia sociology professor Johnny Davis told, is it BL, whoever that is, let the dead be dead. I completely agree. Now, I did mention I do have a book, Code Red, and this is a collection of short stories, and the first short story in this, called Digital Madness, is exactly about the negative consequences of this happening in real-world situations, because people in our society are becoming more psychotic as it comes on, and I'm talking clinically. It is a fundamental truth. More people have mental issues now, and I think a lot of it is because of social media and things. But what happens if a parent, like going back to our Callium Worthy video here, going back to this woman here who then immortalizes her mother in an AI and now passes this out to this kid. I want you to imagine what happens if this kid doesn't even know that grandmother is dead and just thinks they don't have enough money to go visit her. And now he grows up his whole life thinking that. What would be the downstream consequences of that kid's psyche going forward? And then you have to ask the question, well, that sounds absurd. Yes, but dysfunctional families do very absurd things all the time. And it raises this fundamental question, what would happen? And that is the exact question I tackle in this story, Digital Madness. Now, you can get this anywhere you buy books online. You can just look up Code Red. Of course, you can see the name there. If you go to tlm.li/Code Red, you can get the ISBN numbers if you want to copy and paste that in. If you have Spotify, you can actually listen to Code Red in your Spotify account there as well, by the way. And that story is Digital Madness, and all of the stories in there are excellent stories. That one here deals with specifically this individual topic. So Code Red by Thomas Murawski, tlm.li/Code Red, all one word, and you can get the ISBNs, and a few links are in there, and you can get it anywhere you can get books online. But there's a few populated links there already. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about all of this digital necromancy in the comments. All right, we are going to take a brief comment break, and then we will come on back and do our QuickLines and our SillyVille. So let me go ahead and boot up. Let me jump over to Matrix first. All right, let's see what we got. There's a lot of activity on Matrix right now. All right, ABJ's over there. Greetings as well. Looks like bandwidth issues. Skewy 4, what nonsense, still caught up with the pod. He's all caught up. Okay, so Ivan's all caught up with the podcast, I think. A cat battling a robot. I thought we had plenty of those videos before AI. Well, I don't know, maybe. There you go. Wait, there's a video of a cat fighting a robot? I know what I'm doing after the stream. Yeah, there you go. It's pretty. I wish I could remember where it was. I did watch it, and it was hilarious. I don't really want to pay 30% more for everything to watch a hilarious video of a cat. Okay, I can't. As funny as it is, I have other sources of fun entertainment as well. So, grabbing an on-2 monitor arm at the moment. Nice. Very good. Bringing people back using AI. Is that a new form of torture? Yeah, pretty much. Let's see. For the court case, well, if anyone trying to do that with me, they better get ready because I will haunt them. There you go. AI Joe Biden is back to run the country. Oh, God, no. Please. No. There actually was a Babylon Bee article that was kind of the gist of it. It had him like still the president, like the year 2190 or something, and he was a discombobulated head in a jar still ruling the country. It was kind of funny back in the day. Right. So there was that. Okay. Let's see. We got over there 18 watching on Rumble. If you want to hit that follow button, and the join button takes us on over to our locals page, which is at switchedtolinux.locals.com. All right. Got Dan's over there. Anchorage XQE4 is over here as well. Had to press play to start the stream. Yeah, the Rumble, once the stream starts, you usually have to refresh the page to get it all caught up. Bare Metal run Artix, GNU Linux, Ghost BSD machine. Do not run these AIs. Yep. All right, let's play the emotional card. Okay, wasn't the video played after the trial? So there were two trials. The first trial, they had like a mistrial. So there was a second trial. I think it was played as the victim impact statement for the second trial is what I think it was. Tomb of the Digital Undead. There you go. I want to see fewer dead people. Yes, that's all we need. Haley Joel Osment coming back. I see dead people all over the place. Right? All right. Psychology is bunk. I am generally inclined to agree with you to a degree. Psychology is a good descriptive of what may be going on, although I'd be hesitant to use it for any real therapy. But it is instructive. Over there on Odyssey. How many we got on Odyssey? We've got 13 watching on Odyssey. Ilil Swirl, greetings. I got those two chatting it up over there. There's an octopus over there. Okay, an octopus saying interesting. Got it. KDE application called Casts, but okay, let's see. I'm guessing that's for podcast stuff. Yeah, somebody sent me a message or a comment, I think it was, on a video. Couldn't get the podcast feed working. Like some of your more vendor lock-in apps that may not work. I actually used Antenna Pod from F-Droid, and that actually worked perfectly fine. You could put any feed in there that you wanted for podcasts. It's Antenna Pod, I think. Tom, about this weekly Windows Wednesday. Let's try to put 1123H2 on 2006 Dell Spirit, and it loads, yes, but slow. Didn't bother going online today. That laptop runs Trinity Linux. There you go. Hey, dead people. That is beyond sick. Yep. The Zucker book has a patent for zombies on the net. That's right. I'll go out Big Lebowski, Donnie style. My urn is bought and paid for. The empty Folgers can on top of my fridge. Nice. Are you going to dump that all over somebody, though? Come on. All right. We got 33 watching on ZTubies. Mr. Snipe Son over there with the first lols. Let's see. We got Commodore Fan fighting a stomach ache. Tried McDonald's Shamrock Shake. Yeah, I haven't tried one in a while, but, you know, the last time I walked into McDonald's, they're like, $12 for 2 cheeseburgers? I'm like, nope, I LOL'd and GTFO'd, man. All right. Reflex Man, let's see. Oh, Lord, I just saw on X the official Snoopy account wishing people a happy Ramadan. How wonderful. Gone are those days that we get Charlie Brown Christmas. All right. Hello, Silver Adventures. Hello, No One You Know. All right, Shamrock Shake is one of my favorite drinks, along with the orange cream shake. Should I go get a Shamrock Shake? You guys let me know. Should I get a Shamrock Shake or not? All right, South Carolina had warmed up, but going back down a bit. This is normal for this time of year. Yeah, orange cream shake sounds great. Isn't Ramadan, is that one of the Muslim holidays, or is that one of the, I think it's a Muslim one, but I can't remember for sure. Q2610, hello to you. Isn't the entire point of Notepad to be super basic? Yes. You will rent your PCs and be happy. Oh, come on, man. Are you reading ahead in our articles? Are you reading ahead in our articles? Something about a bad omen. All right. Someone still using Windows? Yeah, somebody. Well, that's okay. If you're using Windows, we won't boot you out of here yet, you know. When I hear people complaining about how AI is taking their job, I just laugh. They should instead look at ways to make a living where AI cannot get into aquaponics. Well, I don't know. I mean, AI could monitor things and adjust the chemical levels. I gotta love how we pay more so they can pay less and make more. I know, right? You don't have to worry about electricity because you live in a van and use solar. Yeah, I mean, every now and again, you know. Walmart to save the day. I know, right? Isn't that frightening? When Walmart becomes our salvation. Yes, Walmart sells hard drives. I've actually bought in several hard drives from Walmart. They stock Western Digitals. I got some Western Digital Blues. They have one of the 4 gigabyte Spinning Rust gaming laptop hard drives. Those might be Seagate, I think. I can't remember. Yeah, what happens when EMP and solar flare happens, destroys all the data centers? I will be rolling on the ground laughing. Yes. They are putting a data center in my area down the road. Oh dear. I would advise you not to go all Luddite on it. Let's see. Which one did you hear from Penguin Z? Heard that. Let's see. Let's only go down if non-US have PC anymore and have to rent. Yeah. Let's see. Didn't Code Red come out last year? It was. It would have been the summer of. Was it the summer of 25? Maybe it was the summer of 25. Maybe it was a year and a half ago. No, summer of 24. Summer of 24. So a year and a half ago. I need a Tinker OS as my brain is tinkered and needs stems. Yeah, let's see. Micro slop. Wind blows. Sucks for people like me. Yep. Necromancy is dealing with familiar spirits. I was pretty sure. Yes, I was pretty sure it was on that. Okay. Windows are banned in my house. There you go. Really creepy. I want this to be illegal. Yep. Dems can talk to Epstein. Yeah, my man. The latest conspiracy theory is that Epstein's not actually dead. I don't know. I didn't put a ton of stock into it. Okay. I see a repeat of the AI dead nonsense in the King James Bible where King Saul went to the witch to talk to the prophet Samuel. I wonder if he was actually speaking to a devil. Well, what's interesting about that particular story is even the woman seemed surprised that something rose up. So she was clearly a fraudulent person, and even she was surprised that something came up. So who knows what it was. How come you're not on Kick? I have not explored Kick. Should I explore Kick? I have no idea what Kick even is. The greatest part of Rust compared to C is the package manager. Lack of package manager makes it harder to install a library, which also raises the bar for people who can program stuff. We don't get as much crappy programs. But a new PC and as I buy power, just bought a new PC. And I buy power. What should I do? I have no idea what you're asking there. Use games with Angie. I am not a gamer. I can't advise you one way or the other on games. Plans to build a new data center here in North Carolina, just down the road. They're planning to build a new nuclear power station to power it. Wonderful. Hey, 10-minute mark. Perfect. We just got to it. Take me another sip. We'll go with coffee this time. I got a whole smorgasbord. I got water, I got tea, and I got coffee. This is an amazing night. I need more caffeine. I don't feel enough energy. All right. So welcome back to the weekly news roundup and the QuickLines section. Since we did two main sections, we're going to keep this one slightly shorter today. But we have some fun stories here. Here's how to find and remove credential stealing Chrome extensions. Yes, it turns out that a whole bunch more extensions, 30 more different Chrome extensions stealing credentials from 260,000 users. This is why I am not a fan of browser extensions. I prefer not to use them. So the problem here is that oftentimes very similar extensions are pushed out multiple times with different names. And sometimes even they could pull the extension, rename it something else, and put the exact same extension back up. And so this is actually why most of these organizations are not actually telling you the name of the extension, because as soon as it is known, then what could happen is you can what you could do is they can just simply change the name of it and you don't even know. So what this one actually does here is it mentions how you can actually search for the actual code of the extension, which cannot be changed. And so looking at this, when you're familiar with extension removal angle, here's two kinds, those installed by the user and those forced installed, of course. You can install extensions through group policies and things like that. But what they want to tell you to do is if you go down into your system, and my apologies, this is all with Windows stuff. Ugh. But if it goes into your users, username, app data, local, Google, Chrome user, then you can find the extensions. On Linux, that should be under, I think it's going to be under .config, share, and in your home folder, .config share, or in the USR share folder. And then you're going to find the Chrome extension, and then you're going to hunt down, and you can find the list. Now, the extensions are going to have this, lowercase letter gobbledygook down here. And what you want to do is look for these individual numbers here, because regardless of what they call the extension, this is the actual approved code. And what they've done here is they've given you the basic common names used, but they've actually given you the extension IDs. So what you can do is you can take these lists. So you can take these lists of extension codes that they use here, and you can hunt for those inside of your user directory and figure out exactly which extensions that you are running. And so that is some useful information as these come out and they give you not the friendly names, but these codes. You can use this to find out which codes are actually malicious. Just like the Ubuntu snaps did not too long ago, well, the same thing is being done with Outlook add-ons. How wonderful, Microsoft. You have a wonderful way of managing things. I mean, I thought it was only Snap that was this horrible with security. All right, no. Or they're just competing. So once again, you can have these extensions inside of your Outlook, and just like Snap, if the extension goes unmaintained and then the people decide that's not worth it anymore, and then they let the domain expire and a hacker buys that domain, they don't have to do anything else to take over the entire extension from Microsoft. And in this case, there was an Outlook extension, which was able to steal 4,000 Microsoft account credentials, credit card numbers, banking security questions, and read all of your email. So what happened here is that extensions are actually created and they are only evaluated by Microsoft once. So no updates are evaluated. This means a malicious actor can create a good extension, keep it going good for 3 or 5 years, and then turn it malicious themselves. And Microsoft never knows because they do not vet anything, any extension past the first alteration, the first agreement. So the developer launched an add-on called Agree To, an open source meeting schedule tool with Chrome extension. It was a popular tool at some point, was abandoned by the developer, and the backend URL on Varsal expired, and an attacker claimed the URL. Microsoft reviews and signs the manifest only once, but does not continuously monitor what that URL serves later. So when Outlook Varsal.app subdomain became free to claim, cybercriminal jumped on the opportunity, scoop it up, and abused the powerful read-write item permissions requested and approved in 2022. The add-on could read and modify users' emails when loaded. So Google removed the old Chrome extension in February of 2025. Outlook add-on stayed listed in Microsoft's Office store, still pointing to a Varsal URL that no longer belonged to the original developer. An attacker registered the subdomain and deployed a simple 4-page phishing kit containing a false Microsoft login, password collection, Telegram paste data exfiltration, and a redirect to the original login.microsoftonline.com. So the researchers were able to access the attacker's poorly secured Telegram-based exfiltration channel and recovered more than 4,000 sets of stolen Microsoft account credentials, plus everything else. So isn't it so wonderful that Microsoft wants everybody on these Microsoft accounts and they have no interest in actually keeping their system secure? So if you want a more reason to stay off of Microsoft, there it is, guys. Switch to Linux. Linux Mint is amazing. All right, here we go. A fake antivirus app spreads Android malware and steals banking credentials. Okay, first, guys, stop doing banking on your phone. Just stop. Your phone is not a good place to do banking. It's too open to theft, too open to damage, too open to malware, too open to issues. So if you think an app called antivirus means your phone's safe, think again. Cybercrooks found a new way to just turn that trust against you. They hosted it right on a reputable AI platform. It was on Hugging Face. How wonderful. All right, isn't it great that all these AI platforms are full of all these useful tools? This is called Trust Bastion, which purports to be an Android security solution offering virus protection, phishing defense, and malware blocking. However, once it is installed the fake app, they're hit with a scare tactic, a prompt claiming their phone is infected and urging them to update the app. The update doesn't fix anything. Instead, it activates the malware payload, turning your phone into a gateway for spying and data theft. From there, the malware can quite literally take screenshots, steal your lock screen PIN, and display fake login screens for banking services that mimic the real ones, ergo stealing all of your banking credentials because you're doing banking on your phone, which you shouldn't be doing. All right, no, I'm not going to subscribe. Deal with it. Here's a new job scam. We talked about job scams in AI not too long ago. This is another one which is utilizing, this one's actually not utilizing Google's direct services, but it's spoofing the Google Forms site. So, you know, whenever somebody sends me a Google Forms to fill out, I'm like, oh boy, a low effort ask. All right. So looking at the Google Forms here, then what they can look at here is, they created a subdomain, which is forms.google.ss-o.com. Now, I think the original one, like the correct one, I think is forms.google.com, which will, of course, take you to a sign-on page. The problem is, like, the SSO is often used abbreviation for single sign-on. And so people who are not as savvy will go to this link, and what they will end up doing is they will be prompted with a Google sign-in, which is actually there to harvest not only your Google credentials, but also your MFA tokens. Because isn't it awesome that this MFA was supposed to secure everything, and it's only took like, what, a year and a half to completely be able to steal all those too? Kind of like someone like Switch to Linux was saying was going to happen a long time ago, but I don't know. All right, unfortunately, when we try to visit the basic URLs, it just goes to the basic Google website. This is a common tactic to prevent Google from finding these, but they can then use these and host a specific page, so generationform.php. So this is actually easy to do. You basically just put a domain there and then have a basic index page. So if you land just on that, the index page just is a header reforward over to google.com. So you land on that URL, it just forwards you directly to Google. But if you land on the URL / regeneration_form.php, this actually loads up, hey, we're hiring for a job. We want you to apply. You got to sign in to continue. Hit the sign up button. It's going to harvest all of your Google credentials. And of course, you fill all this stuff out. And then they're laughing at how stupid you are behind the scenes, because that's what they do. And it's some Indian dude watching you through your web camera in his underwear. Of course, once you click the sign in button, it goes to this page here, which was the fake Google login page, which is stealing your credentials. So you got to be really careful with these, particularly this crazy job market we got. You know, it becomes a lot more difficult to see and understand, what is legitimate and what is not. And I've been thinking about ways that you can protect yourself. Let's suppose you do need to look for a job. How can you better protect yourself? Maybe I'll do a whole video on it, but, in brief summary, get yourself a temporary phone number, get yourself a temporary email, and use that kind of stuff and provide minimal information until you absolutely know you're dealing with somebody legitimate. So how do you manage that? Well, with intentionality. And that's all I'll tell you for now. All right. Criminals are using AI websites to clone major brands. So AI tool Vercel was abused by cyber criminals to create a Malwarebytes lookalike website. So wonderful. You're thinking you're going to Malwarebytes, and nope, you're going somewhere else. So in minutes, they can clone a site's look and feel, plug in a payment or credential stealing flows, and start luring victims through search, social media, and spam. And so cyber criminals have always known it's much easier to trick users by impersonating something they already recognize than by inventing something new. This, to me, is a challenge because there's so few services out there that the scammers can now assume they can buy up email lists and blast out things, assuming that the vast majority of people will either have an Apple account or a Google account. And so you get this in your inbox and you think it's something legitimate, and just in a momentary lapse of reason, you can hit the button and boom, you're phished. I solve that in interesting ways. Number one, I don't have any accounts with these big services outside of, obviously I have the Google account for the YouTube here, and I am a webmaster for a lot of businesses, so I have a master Google account. I even have a master GoDaddy account. But unfortunately, I have clients that use that nonsense. And my own login allows me to log into their stuff without having to pester them for 2FA codes. And so I have these, but they are on hidden emails that nobody knows. And so, I get to a more popular email that I use more frequently. I get something that's like, hey, you need to sign into your Google account. I don't have a Google account there. That's a spam, And so you got to be much more careful about this. So what has happened to supercharge this is these AI website generation sites. So here's a flash of fake sites. Of course, they'll jump in like holiday themes around Christmas, Black Friday, various sales. Any holiday will jump up with these. These researchers found 18,000 holiday themed domains like Christmas, Black Friday, flash sale. At least 750 of them were confirmed as malicious, and many more are still under investigation. So this is where the impersonation hit home. So they actually found this as v0.app, which points to Vercel. So that means that somebody used this particular AI system to create the fake Malwarebytes. In 2022, the operator began layering Malwarebytes branding and publishing Indonesian language security content. All right, this likely helped with the search reputation while normalizing brand look to visitors. Later, the site went blank. No public records for 2025, only resurfacing as a full-on clone backed by AI-assisted tooling. And this was actually for, they said what it was, install Malwarebytes.app. which is not their site. Installmalwarebytes.org. So it's launched just to do a long game. Let's boost the SEO ranking, the domain history. You pull it off for a period of time, and then it came back. And then, of course, they used a number of different ways to redirect traffic, malvertising campaigns, SEO injections, things like this. And then the fake site used PayPal payments, but the integration hid the merchant's name and logo from the user-facing confirmation screens, leaving only the buyer's details visible. I think that PayPal should refund all of the scam themselves. Hey, you guys, I have literally switched my payment process. Like, I was using PayPal for like 10 or 15 years in my web design business because of convenience. And it got to the point where they would not allow me to attach my business phone number to it for whatever reason. And I don't use smartphones. Like, scan this with your QR code with your phone. Sorry, can't do that. I'm not using your apps. I can't do anything. And so they would basically lock my account like every week. And so I literally had to call them. And then they asked the same 3 questions every single time. It got to the point I actually called them up. I gave them the answers to the questions before they asked them. And like, whoa, wait, how do you know this? Like, you lock my account every week. What are you doing over there? So I actually finally switched my payment processor to another payment processor, which I am infinitely more happy with. Yet somebody can be collecting money off of a fake Malwarebytes account, and they don't seem to have a problem with it. I mean, Lord. Right. Okay. Well, we have a couple of meta ones here, which is interesting because there's actually what's really interesting. I'm going to watch these closely. There are 2 jury trials with Meta, one in New Mexico, one in California. And so 2 trials over child safety allegations in California and New Mexico. The lawsuits are landmark cases marking the first time anything has reached a jury. And so the New Mexico case filed by Attorney General Raul Torres in December 2023 centers on exploitation. They built evidence by posing as children online and documented what happened next. In the form of solicitors, the team brought suit under New Mexico's Unfair Trade Practices Act, a consumer protection statute that sidesteps Section 230. Because obviously, if you're posing as a child and bad things are happening, you probably may actually be outside of 230, but I'd have to see what the case is here. So the newly unsealed internal documents revealed the company's safety researcher had warned about the sheer scale of the problem, claiming that around 500,000 cases of exploitation were happening daily. Torres did not mince words about what he believed the platform had become, calling it an online marketplace for human traffic. In the complaint, the Attorney General says Meta's platforms, Facebook and Instagram, are breeding grounds for predators who target children for human trafficking and the distribution of CSAM, grooming, and solicitation. So the complaint's emphasis on weak age verification touches on broader issues regulators around the world are now grappling with: how platforms verify age in their youngest users and how easily those systems can be bypassed. Okay, so this is the problem I see with this suit. Okay. Oh no, we need to verify people who are children on the site. No, we need to stop doing this. Why don't we just get back into a world where we keep our children off the internet? And you might say, that's easier said than done. I don't think so. It's a social contract thing. It's everywhere a child goes outside their house, they're expected to have no phones. Sorry, you can't have your phone riding on the bus. Sorry, you can't have your phone at school. Sorry, is this crazy or not? This is a complicated problem, okay? Because you look at the school situation, most of the abuses we find in schools happen because kids have cell phones. I understand that. And I think we need to stop those. That's why I think the best option is every classroom should have a CCTV. Closed circuit, can't be on the internet. And the only way to access those files, so that could be locked with 2 passkeys. Technical, right? Lock it between 2 passkeys. A school administrator, like a superintendent, a principal has that, and the IT guy has the other. So the IT guy can't access those videos, nor can the principal, only when the 2 come together with 2 passkeys. The only way those footage could be accessed is if there is a complaint made. A parent brings a complaint. Okay, so, and then of course, all footage is deleted after 30 days. Everything is on premise. Nothing ever leaves the school. This is a system that would work, right? The classroom's being recorded. No single person can access the footage, period. 2 people come together when a complaint is made, an IT guy and a school administrator. A complaint is made. Okay, 2 passkeys. We're unlocking this. Let's see the video. Accountability. No single person can access videos. No videos get leaked out onto the internet. And children don't have phones in school. You have solved every problem with that very simple system. Can we technically put together a 2 passkey system? Guaranteed. Of course we can. Just do 2 layers of security. First layer gets past this one. Second layer gets past that one. Brilliant concept. We need to do that. All right, so we also identified loopholes that could allow children to encounter content they shouldn't or couldn't make it easier for adults. So their big problem here is Meta doesn't do enough to keep children safe, okay? I think that parents and society as a whole should keep kids off of the internet, but it shouldn't be something that has to be verified from the app perspective, because I don't want to get to a case where we all have to prove who we are to get onto any app. That would be a problem. But what's behind this and what I think could solve it in this case is not the focus on let's have age verification. Let's focus instead on the accountability of the company. If the company knew there was a problem and didn't solve the problem internally, the company should be held very liable and have to be paid a hefty fine for that. And so it's interesting. So, Meta's design features are addictive, and the company has been using the term problematic internet use internally to avoid acknowledging addiction. That's actually the case. This is moving on to the case in California. So this person alleges that YouTube and Instagram hooked her from childhood. She testified she was watching YouTube at 6, on Instagram by 9, and suffered from worsening depression and body dysmorphia. So TikTok and Snap already settled her cases, but Google and Meta have not settled the cases. Now, in this case here, the parents did take some steps to keep the child off of the internet. But, you know, I have seen parents who try and quote unquote regulate what their kids do on the internet. It doesn't work. You have to train them to find things to do that are not the internet. But it's not possible. Dude, we had it for decades. Children have only been on iPads for 15 years. They're only 15 years old. Think about that. Every child 16 years ago and longer were not iPad kids. In fact, when they first came out, they were so expensive, you wouldn't dare give one to your child. Normalizing an iPad for a child hasn't happened, I think, as only about 7 or 8 years old. Okay, so 7 or 8 years ago is when people started routinely handing these devices to their children. You're telling me we can't look at what we did in parenting 10 and 15 years ago and say, yeah, what did we do without iPads then? And then it's a very simple thing. Your child may need a phone in this digital age to call you for a ride. They don't need a phone that gets on the internet. You could go right on down to Best Buy, Walmart probably as well. Best Buy has a whole panel of flip phones that don't even connect to the internet. Get one of the phone plans that doesn't have data. There are solutions. But think about this. Our world got this bad in less than a decade. It's a problem. Huge problem. Litany of allegations. In 2021, whistleblower Francis Hugan leaked internal Facebook documents showing the company knew the platforms damaged teenage mental health. 2023, Meta whistleblower RTO Bergier testified before the Senate that the company ignored endangerment of children. And unredacted documents unsealed in New Mexico's case suggested that the company actively marketed messaging platforms to children while suppressing safety features that were considered not profitable. And so there's a lot of fundamental problems in here. Of course, they get into 15 European governments were considering measures to ban children from social media. And in principle, I like that idea. The problem is you want to implement that by verifying everybody's age on the internet. And I'm not okay with that. Now, there are ways that are sane. The problem is we have an insane world. Like, if let's suppose we can do a verification that you're over the age of 18 with a credit card check. I'm okay with that because I can change my credit card numbers pretty easy and it can get a pass fail. The problem is now credit card companies market cards to kids. And so that may or may not be a viable thing. What I'm not ever doing, I'm not giving you a copy of my ID. I'm not doing a face scan for you. You can get my face right here on YouTube, and I'm not doing anything more beyond that. You know, and if Google's like, oh, I don't know how old you are, dude, I got 2,000 videos with my graying beard. Okay, shut up. All right. So it is going to be interesting to see what happens with these cases. There's a little bit more comment over here. Meta's own research found parental supervision does not really help curb teens' addictive social media. And this I agree with, because I mean, I know a family that tries really hard to regulate what their kids do, but their kid still watches a whole bunch of vulgar, inappropriate videos that are somehow passing through the kids filter. And the kids are still perpetually addicted to their phone, even though, you know, their parents have to approve all of the apps. Because it's the same thing with the video game stuff. Okay, let me tell you this, and this is some of the research that I read a lot of the in-depth psychology articles when I was researching for my book, I Am Not Amused. There's going back and looking at that whole situation of do violent video games make people violent? And of course, people like most of the hefty gamers, of course it doesn't. You know, I've never shot up anybody, you know. You get that kind of stuff. But there's actually a better answer. And it's not, by the way, the newer science isn't necessarily the better science. In fact, modern science is flat out retarded. Most modern scientists, I'm not sure they'd pass 5th grade. A lot of the older science is a lot better. You had a lot better protocols. You had a lot better questions. You had a lot better research. You had a lot better data analysis. And so I'm not going to look at just that. But I looked at some of the modern studies. I looked at some of the older studies. And what it turns out is interesting is that first-person shooters do not make kids more violent. All video games make kids more violent. It doesn't matter if it's easy kid-friendly games with cartoons and Pokemons or whatever else you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's safe, clean, E-rated games. All games increase violence markers in kids. All games. Now, does that mean all games are going to cause kids to break out and do something violent? No. But the impact on first-person shooters versus a game like Tetris, no other impact. All video games, though, because what they do is all video games increase the serotonin that triggers a fight or flight response, which is the indicating marker of aggression in kids. And so when you look at this, what's interesting is that all screen time has negative consequences. Now, I'm not saying ban all screen time, but I'm saying if your kid cannot live a life without a smartphone every waking second of the day. If it's to the point so much you gotta like take the phone away so he can eat dinner, or God forbid, they keep watching the thing while they're eating dinner, you have a kid that is going to be so aggressive, so problematic, so addicted to their own personal feelings. That is the fundamental problem. So it's not regulating a little bit. It's teaching your kid to find things to do outside of the screen. This is why I'm not addicted to my smartphone. Like there's days I don't even pick it up. Like I have a little place I put my phone at night because my phone is my alarm clock as well. I use multi things in the van here. There are days I do not even take that phone out of that carrier because I don't do anything on the phone. I do look at the news articles for this weekly news roundup. I catalog the articles here. I don't read them on the phone, but I catalog them from RSS feeds. That is about the extent of what I use my phone for. That and communication. I will check email only if I'm looking for an email, but it's been a good month or two since I've pulled up the email app on that phone. I mean, that's the world we got to get to. So even trying to curb it, set screen times and things like this, the fundamental problem is you have not trained your child to do something else. And that's, I think, what they need. But the meta research shows that it doesn't matter if you're trying to regulate their screen time or not. In fact, if your kid is so addicted to the phone, regulating screen time is worse for them because they're constantly thinking of ways to get that screen time back. And that's a fundamental problem. So it's not that you can't have no phone at all, although that's probably better. It's that you need to train your kid to do alternative things that they're not perpetually wanting that screen time. That is what you might need to think about doing. And Meta knew all this. Now, of course, onto our feature article for today, and it's just serendipity that's last. I'm not necessarily always putting it last these days. It's just where it happens to sit. We did mention this in the comments here before we got to this section. HP now has a gaming laptop subscription service. So don't worry, guys. 2030 is coming, and you will own nothing, and you will be happy. And you'll have your Omen laptop game. You know, Omen, the scary kid, Omen. So you're subscribing to the devil. Got it. Okay. So HP has a gaming laptop subscription service offering an RTX 5080 GPUs for $130 a month, but you'll never own the PC. All right. You have a 30-day trial. Come on. You have yearly upgrade options, but you will never own this computer. All right. So the HP Omen, this is a bad omen, guys. The HP Omen gaming subscription is essentially a way to rent a gaming laptop at different spec levels and, unsurprisingly, a very different price points. So after the first 30 days, you are locked into a minimum of 12 months before you can walk away without penalty. By the way, at the end of that 12 months, you are effectively paying. Every year, you are paying the cost to own the computer. You just never own it. But hey, at the end of the month, or at the end of the year, you can trade it in for a new one. Oh, God. This is so stupid. And people will buy this up. People will be slurping this up. So here's actually the full list here. So the cheapest one, everyday gaming, great performance. This is the Victus 15, is $50 per month. And the specs are there. This is a really poorly designed table in the website here. But you can see here's the displays, the storage, the RAM, GPU, all this kind of fun stuff here. And so they go from $50 a month on up to $129 a month for the Omen Max. And so the thing is that this is per month. So let's say we do that. Let's just say 10 months. That's over $1,200 a year. Add that extra $130, 12, 13, 14. So you're now paying $1,500 for the year for this computer, and you never own it. If you run into a situation where you have to stop because it's like I've lost my job. My power bill has gone up because of the recent data center that's moved in. I can no longer afford this $129.99 per month. Oh, don't worry. You're just going to have to buy out the rest of the contract and still give them the computer back. Yes, they are charging you, just like the Instant Ink. They are charging you the full cost of the year just to cancel. So, in other words, if this is, let me actually grab this distraction box here because there is a calculator on it I can access quickly. So let's say that we are doing the bad omen, and you're doing $129.99, and so over your month that is $1,559. Now, HP is going to get that much money from you. If after 4 months you can no longer afford this, so let me go ahead and put this in. So you have already paid some money. You are going to have to pay them $1,169.91 and ship them the computer back. What retard is doing this? I mean, I get it. I don't have $1,000 laying around. I gotta have my laptop. I'm so serendiped and so serotonin infected from all that screen time my mother let me have. I gotta have my computer now. It's only $129.99 a month. I can make the payments. God. This guy here wouldn't personally recommend it. Waiting, saving, and paying outright still makes the most financial sense. Obviously, it depends on what you do. So along with it, they allow you to upgrade your device every year so you can stay relatively current hardware and also get 24/7 customer support included. Hello, thank you for calling. How may I help you? Yeah, you're not going to get support in America. I promise you that. I don't know, you might be, but if you fail to return your laptop or accessories, they can charge you up to $3,299 for the highest. Oh, so that's actually more than that. Okay, my calculation was just assuming you're going to pay $129.99 per month minus whatever you've already paid. No, apparently you're paying more than that. Is it like double or triple? I don't know. So for the $129 for this tier, it costs you roughly the same as buying the laptop outright in 16 to 18 months. So a year and a half of saving that money, you could buy the laptop outright and own it. Of course, if it has Windows 11, you don't really own it, but, you know, we can always install Linux on it. But look at this poll down here. Ownership still matters, only 68%. Only 68% of people say ownership still matters. This is a fundamental problem in our society. 24% say, well, I do this only if there's a buyout option, which there's not, but, you know. And then possibly top-tier GPUs, 5% of people are okay with being on payments for life. These are the 5% of the people that are going to be very happy owning nothing. And then this 3%, they are just brain dead. They're brain dead. Burp. They rock on burp. These are the guys, they walk around and they walk into walls. Like, derp, 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 derp. 3% of people want to pay a monthly fee forever and never own their hardware? I have to live in a world with these people? God, no. No. All right, guys, if that wasn't silly enough, we got to get to SillyVille. If you have a graying beard like mine, you are of my generation, and you had to stand in line at the movies and decide, am I going to watch Stand By Me or Transformers the movie? Two classic movies that opened the same day, by the way, if you didn't know. And then you're like, I love my Transformers. I go into Transformers. And then you are traumatized by the death of Optimus Prime. You are now, folks, justified. Because Hasbro is going to do a 1-year apology tour for killing Optimus Prime. The snowflakes have taken over at Hasbro, which we kind of knew from all the Barbie nonsense that's been going on. But, okay. The morons have arrived. Guys, going back, if you're watching just a standalone of this, one of the earlier ones we did, of course, if you're here on the whole live stream, you know we talked about the digital necromancy and the importance of grief process. Optimus Prime dying taught us to manage grief. We were better people when our hero died because it taught us that even the robots can die. It allowed us through the grieving process. And Transformers the movie is still one of my favorite movies to this day. I love the music. I love the animation. Not this modern anime crap with these horrible, horrible animations. You know, and it's like just a static image over some background ping mode. It's like, oh God, whoever animated anime, take my Transformers every day of the year. But yes, poor Optimus Prime died, and for the 40th anniversary of Transformers, do you believe it, guys? We're that old. 40th anniversary of Transformers the movie, they're apologizing. To the loyal fans, we hear you and feel your pain. As a gesture of goodwill, we'd like to make it up to you with the apology tour. Oh, Lord. No, it was a good thing that Optimus Prime died. And they brought him back on the next season anyway. They resurrected him from the dead. Digital necromancy in its most physical form. There you go. Fall, you know. Famous scene. I'm not going to play the video there. There's too much music over it. But, of course, the fans, this guy, unless the apology comes with a time machine to stop 6-year-old me from seeing that death scene, I don't want it. Here you go. Imagine saying sorry for traumatizing an entire generation with robot deaths. Okay, here's my tinfoil hat conspiracy about this, guys. They are normalizing, humanizing the robots, so when they take over the world, we will have sympathy and not want to kill them. This is part of the great psyop, folks. They are training us to not want to kill the robots. That's what they're doing. Okay. Too late. 30 years too late. Now we just need a Star Wars to do this for the Force Awakens trilogy. Amen to that. Hasbro, sorry we killed your childhood hero. toys, though. I mean, come on. You had to kill Optimus Prime so that you could sell Rodimus Prime. Come on, guys. You gotta do it. All right. Well, oh dear. It's just getting better here. Smoke detectors are recalled because of risk of fire. If that's not absurd enough. All right. Thousands of smoke detectors recalled. They were all sold exclusively on Amazon. So if you bought a smoke detector from Amazon recently, the U.S. Consumer Protection Safety Committee has instructions for you, okay? Your instructions, if you have this, so this particular one, let's see, 11 Sholem photoelectric 3-pack smoke detector alarms may fail to activate promptly if sensing a threshold of security warnings is set too high, so it won't do the job properly. So you have a job to do, okay? You need a refund for your product. So what you need to do is you need to email the company at LMM15957491237 123.163.com to receive a full instructions from this company here, which I think my cat walked across the keyboard for that. It is, of course, a company in China. They're exclusively sold on Amazon. I think Amazon should be fronting all of these because maybe Amazon should be doing a better job in recognizing LMM15957491237 at 163.com from the company Cheng of China is probably not a legitimate company. Amazon needs to be paying for this. Oh dear. Have you bought Lachaume Model XG7D04KZ97Z? I'd just go ahead and I'll tell Amazon you want a refund for it. And if they don't, I'd just go ahead and charge it back on your credit card. Because I don't think Cheng is going to be responding to LLM 15957491237 at 163.com. I have a sneaky suspicion those emails are not going to go anywhere. Okay, folks. Well, Amazon, you need to do better. So does DJI, by the way. So DJI sells one of these very dystopian robot vacuum cleaners that happens to have, they scan your whole house, they map your whole house out, they actually have cameras and microphones. Why does your vacuum cleaner need cameras and microphones? Like cameras, maybe we can make an argument. Microphones? Why does your vacuum need a microphone? It's all you need. Your little robot thing's going to sneak on into the room with the microphone to listen to you. It's listening. So this guy's like, I want to do something fun. I want to control it with a PS5 controller. All right, got a PS5 controller. I got a DJI Romo. He, runs around. I want to control this thing. I think it'd just be really fun to sit on my couch and control my vacuum cleaner with my PS5 remote control, right? So he goes into his app and he uses Claude's coding AI assistant to reverse engineer the communication protocols. And he set up his homebrew app, connected it to DJI servers, and 7,000 robot vacuum cleaners from 24 countries started answering his call. So he could now, utilizing his PS5 controller and his little app that he created, he could now actually see the cameras, listen to the microphones inside of 7,000 robot vacuums in 24 countries, and he could access all of their housing plans. Yeah. He now controls the robot army. Oh, man, he could have fun with this. He just turned this thing on. Chase the children around the house. Little toddlers walk around. The robot's attacking the kid. Traumatize the child from these robots. That's the best thing he could possibly do. He will train that child from a very young age to not trust the robots. Okay? And the family's like, the robot vacuums after my kid. I don't know why. And then maybe if these things could have speakers too, that'd be awesome. Like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. That'd be so awesome if these things had speakers too. Oh, that'd be awesome. So apparently DJI stuff is not particularly secure. One PS5 controller and Claude AI can completely get all of it. All right. Well, we know that the traffic cameras have been a big hot issue these days. We praise the Lord, Amazon has ditched its plan to feed everything into Flock. That's good. Of course, they'll probably silently do it. A few months. They'll just kind of quietly turn on some switch in the back. We don't know about it. But of course, these traffic cameras are really bad, and I guess Australia. In fact, I did see an article. I didn't include it here, but I did see an article that Australia is becoming the real-time test case for AI and AI dystopias. They're literally laying AI into the hands of all these things. And it turns out this seems to be one of these cases where an Aussie couple gets a $6,000 seatbelt ticket from the guy who stole their car, forget to buckle up. The first thing I have to say is, why is Australia issuing $6,000 tickets for not wearing a seatbelt? That seems a little bit ridiculous to me. But what happened is, these family in Australia, their house is broken into. They call the police because, of course, Australia doesn't have any guns. Unless, of course, you're an Arabi terrorist or something, in which case you want to open fire on a bridge down there in New South Wales. Really bad situation. But unless you're that guy, you don't have guns because they basically ban them from all society because they're like, you got to call the police. We are here to protect you, right? And so they call the police. Some guy breaks in the home. The police never show up, by the way. So good luck if the guy's in there, playing Saw or something with them. It's like, sorry, I can't get to the door. I'm now tied up by the guy that broke into my house. But they scared the guy off. The kids were all like terrified. Oh, someone's breaking in the house. The same guy comes back a couple hours later, breaks into the house a second time. They still call the police. They chase him off again, but he gets away with their car keys. So he jumps in this car and he speeds on down the road in his car, without wearing a seatbelt because, he was kind of hasty to get out of there. So the local traffic camera picks up this guy, flags the license plates from, this is the guy, this is the homeowner, and this is the guy, this is the homeowner, and he's not wearing a seatbelt. So they literally send the couple a ticket for 6,258 Australian dollars, roughly 4,400 US dollars, for not wearing a ticket because the AI traffic camera caught him not wearing a seatbelt after he sold the car after the police did not respond to the second burglary in their house. And of course, this ticket comes after their children are now inside of therapy because they're terrified of their house because people keep on breaking in, and it's Australia, so you're not allowed to shoot the moron. All right? So, when I lived in Wyoming and my neighbor was getting stalked, the police said, if he comes to your house again, shoot him, drag him inside, and then call us. That's actually what the police told her. Okay. Respect. Okay. Because stop being stalkers. All right. But anyway, so there you go. The traffic cameras are coming to get us, folks. They're coming to get us. Well, I think we're going to wrap that up there. Let me go ahead and feed the beast, which is currently and conveniently sitting right next to the kitty treat. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. She's like, I get breakfast in bed and I don't even have to move. Look at that. Alrighty, let's go ahead and have a look at. We got 18 watching there on Rumble. So you X the jokes on them. My credentials will get you nothing. Children should not be allowed on the internet. I agree. In principle, children should not be allowed on the internet. The question is, how do we stop that from happening without all of us adults giving our information to the internet? I can see rings of data and communication permissions, a low-end PSA layer, local news and alerts layer, government layer, communication layer, monetary exchange layer, medical layer, biometrics layer, him. Token charge for age ID, account holder sees it in monthly account record, responds accordingly. DARPA funding at BACA, even of Atari, they groomed 3 generations of gamers. Nintendo, cutesy, infantilizing graphics, manipulating something. That's an interesting discussion I've never heard of before. Damien is here. That's right. Life of the computer repo man is intense. See a lot of people running a Snoop Dogg on repo day. Startup businesses, street vendors. Let's see. Give you a discount if you pay 18 months up front. There you go. Why'd you stop posting on BitChute? BitChute script broke. I have never posted videos directly to BitChute. Their script broke. I've emailed them several times, and I just stopped receiving messages from them. I have made every attempt I can to turn it back on, but I have so few BitChute viewers that, I don't have the bandwidth to upload to every single channel there is. I have very limited bandwidth in the van, so I can't post things directly. They were posting videos, and then I was corresponding with a guy, and then I stopped hearing from him. And I did send them an email last week. Somebody asked me to look into it again. I did send an email last week and have not heard anything back yet. So yeah, it's BitChute. That's BitChute. Broke something. Video said people are getting banned to say the word clanker. Yeah, I did see some of that. Yes. Because, how dare we possibly offend the robots, which is probably ties right on into Hasbro doing a apology tour for killing a robot 40 years ago. Too bad everyone silently crawled back to pig tech and ruined the alt tech attempts at vid platforms. Hey, we still got Odyssey too, so. I used a very tall desk to keep kids offline. There you go. It was never for the kids. Yeah, never for the kids. BitChute. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep corresponding with them. I cannot upload the videos there manually. So if they start responding to me again, because what happens, I went over and looked into it a few months ago, and there's the option to add this channel sync, which I already was working. So I added the channel sync again. They emailed me back and said, hey, this isn't the right feed we need. Can you send me the other feed? And I sent them that other feedback, and then I didn't hear anything from them. And I checked it again a couple weeks ago when somebody had left me a comment, or actually it was an email. If that was you that sent me the email, I did reply. Somebody sent me an email about it. That day, I went back on a BitChute. I checked the account. It's still not syncing. I emailed their support again, and I still haven't heard anything. So if you want to put pressure on BitChute as well, then that certainly is that certainly would be helpful, because I have emailed them multiple times on this now, and I have not heard anything back yet. Let's see. AntennaPod is awesome, Tom. Have you been to the Texas Beaver? I've been to a Texas Buc-ee's. Is that what you're referring to? What is the Texas Beaver specifically? Please inform me. I may or may not be driving through Texas. I haven't decided what my return route east is yet, but one route may take me a little bit through some of Texas, but not a lot of it. But we'll see. But inform me. What is the Texas Beaver? I've been to a Buc-ee's there, if that means anything. Let's see. So should I get a burner phone and tell them my name is not sure? They asked me why I want the job. I'll tell them I like money. There you go. I would probably, if you're applying to a job, I would get a burner phone for the purpose of all the job applications. And then when you actually get onboarded with an actual legitimate company, update your phone number to your real one and just let the other one die. Because that way All of those hundreds of thousands of people that just harvested your phone number no longer have your real phone number. That's what I would probably do. Stream platform Kick, there's a lot of gambling content over there. I'll look at it, but Malwarebytes flagged it as breached. Oh, does it? Oh, Texas Beaver, you're referring to Buc-ee's. Yeah, have I been to one in Texas? I don't remember if I've been to a Buc-ee's in Texas, but I was at some of them in Florida, Mississippi, and a few other places. Kentucky. I think Kentucky was the first time I went to one. All right, we got 33 watching on ZTubies. See if I can find where I was. I was pretty sure I left a comment where I was, but I'm not seeing it. You can rent this comment for the right price. That's right. Super chats are enabled. There you go. Oh, there it is. I found it. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Is GNU Linux or nor just it's yeah. I'm not getting involved in the GNU Linux type debate. Y'all know what I mean when I say Linux. Gather the context clues. Am I using a desktop computer? I'm using GNU Linux. Am I talking about a Linux server? I'm using a Linux server. There you go. All right. Let's see. Also got a Google Pixel 10 Pro XL. Should unlock and put another Android ROM or get Samsung Galaxy Fold? So if the Pixel 10 Pro XL supports Graphene, you should put Graphene OS on it. I know they're going to stop supporting the Pixels and go in an independent direction soon, but I think the whole Pixel 10 line will be on Graphene. Graphene is absolutely the best you can put on that particular phone. Do have a Microsoft account, but either that or Google, and now from okay. The split password with 2 persons was used in the Guyana Elections Commission way back in 2001. Had 2 managers. Only way to access the database was both of them. Yeah, SIDS. We've already done it before. Dysphoria. Is dysphoria caused by social media? Yes, yeah, very much so. And the reason for that is that it starts to intensify a lot of things. Like, when I was in high school and, internet didn't exist, like social media didn't exist. Internet was infancy. Almost nobody had it. But you'd still see like anorexia would move around, but it generally followed groups of friends around, because it was kind of like that way of doing it. So when the entire world sees, various dysphorias all on the internet, they start looking at it and internalizing it to themselves. Yes, it is absolutely a fact that sitting there on social media, watching a bunch of mentally ill people will make you mentally ill. It's crazy. Duck Hunt made me violent. There you go. Let's see. Video games don't make people violent. I'm not violent. No, they do. Scientifically, they do. All forms of screens increase the fight or flight response, which is the first trigger for violence. Now, not everybody acts on the violence, but it causes a built-up aggression inside of your system. It's a scientific determinable measurement in your blood. It's a hormonal response in the blood. That doesn't mean everyone who plays video games is going to come out and be violent, but it means that it increases all video game playing, no matter what it is, increases markers of aggression. First-person shooters do not increase it any more than any other game. And I first actually saw this. I was working with some kids, and they didn't have even television in their house for a long time, and they got a TV, and then they got an Xbox. This was back back before the 360, the original Xbox. And every game, every movie they had was, G-rated. Every game they had was E-rated. All good things. They limited screen time. They did everything accordingly right. Limit the screen time, only age-appropriate things like this. And I came back. I was the Sunday school teacher for 1 or 2 of the kids. And I came back and I told the parents, they were friends of mine, so I could feel very honest. I said, hey, your kids seem to be getting a lot more aggressive since you got the TV. And she originally thought, man, why would you even say that? Until the very same week, her kid's teacher told her the same thing. And so she now has, like, in fact, two of the kids' teachers. So you have 3 people that spend a lot of time with their kids say as soon as they added simple E-rated video games and TV on a very limited basis, all of the kids' aggression markers went up. It was like, very eye-opening. So I will never rent a laptop. Yeah. And back in the day, we had like Aaron's Rental. There was it Rex or Rax? I think one of those was a rental place and one of those was a fast food place. Was that one with the alligator? I think that was Rax, right? Was that with the little alligator thing? It's like a competitor to Arby's or something. Amazing food. I wish they were still around. But I think Rex was a Rent-A-Center, right? So, but everybody knew, even we as a poor family knew, don't rent your furniture, which you could rent TVs, furniture, couches. Don't rent your furniture from them because it's just costs way too much. The only way you do it if you're moving into a place and you're only going to be there for 3 months. Okay, rent some furniture for 3 months and then give it back. No big deal. But as far as renting to own it, everyone I knew growing up was like, never go there. That's a place for people who make poor financial decisions. Now here we are jumping out. Oh, I can afford the payment. I got to do it. Always buy my laptop. Yep. Get the child a flip phone. No screen. Yep. If my Orange Pi 5 Plus dies, I'll just move back to the old 2007 PC. Still runs good. Yep. Bad Omen. Give me a Bad Omen. Transformers, more than meets. Yeah, watching it now. The score and album. Nice. I have season 1 of the original cartoon. I want cubes. We do. I probably should do more cubes videos. I should. I mean, my cubes is so far out of date. I'm just gonna wipe it. I should put it on a bigger hard drive though. My cubes hard drive is only like 120 gig, so I should get a bigger hard drive for that. Yeah, toy soldiers with the robot vacuums. Yep. Feed me more. Have the other cat? The other kitty cat passed away in November. We have a whole video to memorialize the other kitty. Cat Van Temptations. That's right. Let's see. BitChute is a bit shot. Yeah. This cat's the remaining cat is actually older. Has the Brax 3 phone and the tablet in the works. Nice. Okay, I've heard of that one. Got the rest of them. Yep. About those old educational DOS games. Yeah, I don't know. Their system mostly dealt with like console games. The original article I read was actually, you know what? They did do computer games because they did the article in the Frankenstein era. Was that one line of research? So they did the Frankenstein 3D. They looked at the Atari games, Nintendo games, and other console games available at that time. All right. So let's see. BitChute messed up when they started using www and old.bitchute addies. Yeah, I don't know. They did something weird. All right. I think we've hit the bottom of our comments. Thank you guys for watching. The podcast for this one should be up they should be up by Saturday. And whatever Ivan cuts out, that's entirely up to him. So he's got full control over that. I don't touch that one. All right. So thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you guys next time.